In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 9x12 postcard side hustle. So I'll show you how it works, how to get started for next to nothing, and how to keep your print and mailing costs super low. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Now to get started, first let me explain what the 9x12 postcard is. So this is a group postcard. In fact, I'm gonna grab one here that I have. This was the very first postcard that I did. So you can see it's got a whole bunch of different businesses on the card on both sides. And we use the EDDM mailing service because it's a cheaper way to do this. But we get all of these businesses onto a postcard, and that lowers the cost for each of those businesses. It significantly lowers the cost and allows them to get in front of potentially a bigger audience than they could do on their own anyway. So if a single business wanted to do a postcard even half of this size, they could easily spend over $1,000 to do a small mailing to just a couple thousand people. So the group postcard concept is unique because it allows businesses to be able to do a promotion like this without spending a small fortune doing it. So let's go over some of the steps that you're going to need to be aware of in order to run this business. It's pretty simple to do, and it's really a low-cost side hustle slash business. So let me go ahead and switch over to my other screen. So the first thing you need to do is research your mailing routes and kind of figure out different routes that you're going to want to do a mailing to. You can do this on the post office website, but I recommend using GotPrint because this is where you're going to get the best deal on your printing and your mailing services. Like, I literally have not seen anywhere else that's better than this. So you'll want to get an account with GotPrint, and on their homepage, if you go to services and you go to the all EDDM services, I'm just gonna go ahead and click that. And then we don't need to read anything on this page right now. This is just some basic information. So we'll click the order now. And then you're going to select the size. So we're gonna do a 9x12. And you can see there are other sizes you can do, but the 9x12 gives you the biggest bang for your buck because this is where you can have the most businesses on a card, and the more businesses that come together, the lower the cost is for each of those businesses. So 9x12, we're just gonna stick to horizontal. We're going to do the 16 point. I recommend the 16 point. It's just a nicer, thicker paper. And we're gonna do full color both sides, and then we will choose routes. So you gotta go through all of those steps to get to the routes. From here, you're going to put in the zip codes in your local market. So I'm just gonna select one just for this example, and we will search, and it takes a minute here for this to think before it's going to give us some results. All right, so once this is loaded, you have to decide if you're going to send this to business and residential or just residential. I prefer to just stick to residential, and most of the businesses that I work with they're just interested in doing residential. There were very few that wanted to do businesses as well. And then to make this easier, I mean, you can zoom out here, or excuse me, zoom out, and you can see those routes. You can see everything on here. And if I mouse over, I can select things. But what I would start with is go into this view here where you show table, and you can see all of the different items listed on a table. You can actually just select this whole thing, and you can drag it into a spreadsheet so that you can work with it there and kind of get an idea if you're going to have more than one route, for example. Because if I select everything here, this is going to give us over 10,000 routes. And with GotPrint, I guess one other little side note that I'll point out is you want to stick to actual print quantities. So the print quantities look like this. All right, so I've just got this little sheet here, but you want to keep your quantities to these amounts or less. So for example, 10,722 is going to be just a few too many. So you're 722 over. So we want to get rid of at least 722. This is the closest number. Actually, right there is the closest number, 726. So if you were trying to mail to about 10,000, you would just get rid of this particular number here, and now you're right at that number. If you go higher, the cost is going to go up. So I'm going to actually show you the difference really quickly. If I hit continue, it's going to show us what the cost is to mail to approximately 10,000 addresses. And if I go and edit those routes, so let's remember this, you're just under 5,100 bucks. So if I select this, let's see what it does. See, it jumped clear up to 747 because now we're adding another increment of printing. So you don't want to do that. That's way too much. And that's going to really mess up your cost. That's a significant amount right there. So you're going to want to make sure that you're only selecting up to that amount without going over. So I'm going to try and hit 5,000 just for an example to show you what that would cost. Let's see how close I can get to this. That's pretty good, $49.78. So if I hit continue, now we're looking at just under $2,600 to do this printing and mailing. So this is both the printing and the mailing. Now, once you have your mailing routes figured out, the next thing you want to do is get your template ready to go so that when you start talking to businesses, you have something to show them. And the easiest way to do this is using Canva. And if you click the link in the description of this video, you can actually get access to this template, actually all these templates that I'm going to show you. But this is a template that I set up, and I did it specifically. It has the postage spot already in place for GotPrint. So you have to use the correct postage if you're going to use a service to do your mailing. You have to do whatever their requirements are, and this is what GotPrint requires, is these two spots right here. So as you can see with this design, I was able to fit 16 different ad spots on here, and then I use these jumbo ones where the postage is going to be, so that these people will get a slightly bigger ad. And you know, really I didn't have problems. It was a big enough ad, and I lowered the price so that it was not too far from some of these other larger ones. So when either they design the graphic for it or you design the graphic for it, just make sure that you're keeping all of the pertinent information over on this side, you know, towards the center more. This one, you have a little bit less room for pertinent stuff, but you can still do nice images on these big ones, and it works just fine. An alternative would be if you wanted to shrink this down. So for example, if you wanted to do something like this, where you had a smaller ad here that's going to be more in line with what that is, and then you could do one jumbo one here, or you could actually break this one up into two and get an extra ad spot on there, you know, if you wanted to shrink these down and put two side by side. And then you just got to figure out if you're going to do anything with this space. So that's partly why I did this, is I thought it looked better. But this is the template. It's super easy to add graphics to this. So I actually have on this particular template the dimensions, and you can go in and create your graphics. And these are designed so this is extending to the edge of the card, or off the edge of the card, because in print there is what is known as bleed. So you have kind of a line here, and I don't know, maybe I don't have this turned on. Let me just double check here. Show rulers and guidelines. So I do have the guideline right here. So you want to keep your design inside of this line right here. But I'll show you an example. We'll just do this corner one really quickly. So 1460 by 570, and I'll show you how easy it is to create a design. So let's do create, let's do custom size, and what was it, 1460 by 570. So I've already got that one there because I've done it recently. So this is going to be the design, or this is going to be your ad space right here. And obviously it's easier to work on when it's big, but you want to make sure that when it's small that it actually looks good. So let me just double check. I literally just hold my postcard up to the screen to make sure I get the right size. I think it's like around 25, or I think it's 25%. Let me just see if that's right. Now it's a little smaller than that. 24 maybe. Still one more. So 23% on my screen here. That's really close. 22, 23 is going to be really, really close to what the actual size of the card is going to look like. So when you're holding the card, this is what you're going to see, is about this size. And so what you want to do is with this one, same deal. If you get it down to around that 23% or something, it's going to be really close to what the actual size is going to look like. So let's just say we're looking for a pizza ad. We'll just do that. So for pizza. So you've just got, I mean, Canva has already pre-designed stuff. You've got a whole bunch of things in here that you can just use, and you don't need to do a whole massive ton of editing with all of this, because basically all you need to make sure of, like on something like this one right here, let me click on it. You can maybe read some of the font there because of the size of this, but when you shrink this down to where it's going to be the actual size, some of that font is going to be really tough to read, like the phone number and stuff. So just be aware of that as you're designing your ad, that you're going to want to make sure that any text is very, legible. And then because we want to keep it inside this guideline, we just want to make sure that the top and bottom, that the fonts and stuff are, in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and grab like this stuff real quick. And I'm just going to nudge it in a little bit so that make sure we have room on all the edges a little bit. And I'm not going to do any editing on this. That would be another video, but you get the idea. So let's just go ahead and use this as our demo. So demo pizza ad, I'll just call it that. And then we're going to go ahead and download the ad. And we don't need to do anything special right here. We're just going to grab the PNG version of the image. So download, and let's see, we've got this. So I'm going to open that, and it's on my other screen here. So I'm going to go back over to our postcard template, and I'm just going to drag this image right onto the screen. Let it load right here. Make sure it's done loading before you do anything else. And now we can just drop it into that spot. And you can see I didn't adjust those completely. So we got to do it one more time. So I'm going to go ahead and detach that image, and then we will delete. And I don't know why it messed the wording up there, but let's see. So let's just go ahead and nudge everything in just a little bit more. It needs to go a little bit more that way and maybe a little bit down. At least the fonts do. So I don't know what's going on with that, why that was like off. I'll just move it down there for some reason. I've had that happen before sometimes, where Canva, it doesn't like to export a file how I put it, I don't know, it's really weird. But let me just try a refresh of this page and see if that does anything at all to help. And then we'll zoom back out a little bit so we're not looking at a huge image. I'll move this back down a little bit, and we'll go ahead and try it one more time. So download. I'm going to delete the other one. And we'll download this one. And go back to our template. I'll drop the new one in. And we'll try it one more time, see if I adjusted it enough. So that one looks like it adjusted just fine. So I can now take those other elements. I can just, whoops, I don't want to delete the whole thing. I'll take those other elements and just delete those out. So this would work just fine. I mean, obviously you're going to want to change this font right here to something else that's larger, and same thing with anything down here. It's also great to use QR codes if you could fit a QR code into something to let people scan to go to a website, or to open up some kind of a digital coupon or offer that way. So that would be one way to do it. But once you have your design ready to go, then all you need to do is download these templates. So I'm not gonna do both of them because these take forever to download. So these are really big files, but I'm gonna show you how to download these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click download, and then we want to make sure that we're changing this to the PDF print, which is best for printing. We can flatten the image and make sure we're doing CMYK. So for this reason, you can see like this little crown in places on Canva. You need to have a paid version of Canva in order to access all of the things that I'm showing you. But honestly, this is well worth it, because if you even do just one of these campaigns, on the low end, you should make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, and that's if you're really doing some low pricing on your ad spots. So worst case, you ought to be able to make at least $1,000 in profit after you do a campaign, and for each campaign that you do. Best case, I mean, there are people that I've heard that are making as high as $3,000 to $5,000 on a single campaign, but you do whatever works for you, because truthfully, at the end of the day, you are giving a business an opportunity to be on a postcard that normally would cost them, upwards of $1,000 or more to reach the same number of people. So you got to keep that in mind as well. So we're going to go ahead and download this image right here. So I'm just going to click download, and we're just doing the one image. I hope I selected just the one. I might have done both of them. So this might take longer. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'll come back when this is downloaded. All right, so now that that is complete, I can come back over to my order form. So once you've selected your routes, you've got everything lined up and ready to go, you've got all your customers, here is what you need to do to actually upload and print this. So you're going to upload the front and the back file. So make sure you keep those separate. The back, it is going to put on those specific postage elements that are needed for EDDM. So make sure that you're not mixing those up. Make sure the back is the side that has those postage spots. So just a quick reference, this right here, make sure it's got those, and they got to be in the right place as well. So so then you're going to go click upload, and we're just going to go ahead and drag this file in, and this will take a minute as well. So I will pause and come back so you don't have to wait. All right, now right away you're seeing an error. This does not look right. All you need to do is click this fit button, and it will set the file correctly so it looks right the way that it's supposed to. And then we just click continue, and we have that one ready to go. So we have the back one, and I will do the same thing here where we click fit, and you can see that this is all set and ready to go. So now we go view proofs, and now you can just look at this really quickly. You can click and actually zoom in and make sure that everything looks good. You really don't need to do that because you've hopefully already done that, but you can see, like on the back side here, you can see that it puts the postage in those little boxes. So again, make sure that you have those all set up and correct. And then you're just going to simply proceed to checkout and go through the process of placing your order. Now, of course, before you can actually place a print order, you have to actually have clients who are on your card. You're not going to send out a card with a bunch of blank spots. So how are you going to get clients for your postcard? Well, I'm going to share with you what I did, and it was really easy. And this is coming from somebody who's an introvert. I'm not a salesperson. I do not do well with outside sales. But I started with a friend of mine who runs a local business, and he happens to have a somewhat prominent business in town. I showed him the idea. He liked it. He wanted to be on the card, and I was able to use him as I went and talked to other businesses. I could let them know, hey, I've got so-and-so who is going to be doing a postcard with us. Do you want to do a group mailing with them? Do you want to be a part of this? And having him gave me that extra credibility, I guess you could say, to be able to get other people to say yes a little bit easier. And I filled up my first card actually pretty quickly. So I would recommend you can use Facebook, join Facebook groups in your area, and you can, sometimes there are groups that'll let you post information there where you can share what you're doing, and you can get some interest that way. Have friends and family in the area help you out by posting stuff like that as well, because sometimes you can get away with letting somebody else share something versus you being self-promoting. If they say, hey, I heard about this business that's doing this, then it's a more indirect promotion, and you might be able to get away with that easier. So that would be one little, trick, suggestion, whatever. You can search for businesses online via Facebook or Google searches, and you could just pick up the phone and call people. You can do what I also did. I actually, and this, to be fair, I did this after I had my first campaign done. The first campaign, I surprisingly, I filled up really quickly, and it really came down to, I got that one business on, and that was like, that helped, all the rest of the pins fell. That was like the one that needed to go, and then all the rest, it just was easy from there. So one thing you could do, if you don't know somebody specifically, you could go to a more prominent business in the area and offer them a really big discount or even a free spot for their first time in order to help you to kind of have that credibility. So that would be one thing you could do to make that a little bit easier as well. But just don't be afraid to get out and talk to people. Like, I would take my phone and I would show people when I didn't have the card. And after I got the first postcard campaign done, I ordered a set of my own cards like this that I can go around and show people. And that, like, walking into a business and handing them that card made all the difference for a handful of my clients. Like, I had one guy that I was actually really nervous to go talk to him, and I had sort of a connection, but one day I was just brave, and I'm like, what the heck, let's go do this, let's get it done. And I handed it to him, and he just looked at me instantly and said how much. Like, he wanted to be on. And he only did one campaign with me, but he was sold for that first campaign. So, it was it really wasn't that hard to go out and just talk to people. And I hand them the card, show them what I'm doing. If they say no, I say, thanks for your time, have a great day, and I move on, because it was just a numbers game, but it didn't really feel like this hard sell or anything. It was actually very easy. It was fun to get to know people in the community. So if you're looking for a side hustle that is really going to cost you next to nothing to get started, in fact, you don't have to spend anything to do this. If you want to go figure everything out all on your own and set up your own template and do all of that, you're welcome to do that. If you want my template, I'm currently offering it for $7. So you just go click the link in the description below this video and you can grab my template for $7. It actually has more than one template. In fact, I almost forgot to show you. I had two other little ideas and I haven't done these, and so they're kind of like more on the back burner stuff, but I had these two other ideas. What if you wanted to get more businesses on a card? Well, you could do like a business card size ad. And I mean, I don't know if you'd want to actually like scan the business card and just put it in that way. You might want to actually design something that's a little more, I don't know, just a little better, a little nicer. But you could do something like that where you have just these business card size templates. You get more businesses on there. You can offer it for less money. And so in this case, if you did a 2,500 mailing and did it for $149, you're going to make just shy of $2,000 on that. Same deal. I didn't raise the price a lot, but you could raise the price $20 for 5,000. And I mean, that's a pretty good deal for business to be able to be on a postcard. The other idea that I have businesses that have told me they want me to do this because they want to be on this, but this one, it gives you 44 spots. And imagine if you just put a QR code on. That was it, just a bunch of QR codes. So people have to scan each code to see what it is. For me, like, that is incredibly intriguing. And I know that because I actually got a postcard in the mail a few years back it was from a real estate agent. The only reason that I knew that was because of the disclaimer information at the bottom of the card, which this would not have, but it was just a bunch of QR codes on the card. And of course, in the case of that real estate card, it was all going to the same location. And I can't remember what the offer was, but it was a very creative way to do it. And I was just thinking, what if you did that on a postcard like this and just put a bunch of QR codes? Now, this is set up to work with 44 businesses. And you can see you can lower the cost quite a bit and still make some good money on this. And your design time is going to be cut way, way down because you don't have to do anything special here. And in fact, if you decide you want to try this, what I would recommend is this service called Hover Code. You can sign up for a free account and it gives you unlimited scans. And this way your clients can track their QR code. So they're going to actually be able to see how many people are scanning their QR code. And if you can get them being able to see that kind of data, they're much more likely to keep doing it with you in the future. But that's essentially the concept of the 9x12 group postcard. It's really not that complicated, and arguably the hardest part of this is actually going out and doing some prospecting. And you know, if you're afraid to go talk to people, maybe you can hire somebody to help you if you want to try it, or you know, contact people via email, or pick up the phone and call people and try some other things where maybe you're not having to go out into the community and talk to businesses that way. But all said and done, this is a pretty easy, straightforward business model that really you can get started for next to nothing. You don't really have any overhead. And if you're going to use GotPrint, my recommended printer, then you're going to save a ton on your printing and mailing services, because I've seen other services that charge quite a bit more. In fact, I think the most expensive one I've seen, I was comparing the 5,000, because that's what I do. I run my campaigns to 5,000 addresses at a time. And so there was a company that I found that was charging like $4,000 to do your printing and your mailing. And that just seems a bit excessive to me. So just make sure that whoever you use, that you're not getting overcharged so that you're losing all that profit that you could be making. At the end of the day, the lower your costs are, the lower you can charge people and still make a reasonable profit. So I hope you like this video, and even if this isn't for you, if you've decided after watching this that it's not a good business model for you, maybe it gives you some other ideas at least, or at the very least, it helped you to determine that this isn't for you. And if you are going to give this a try, I hope this helps you to get started a little bit easier and with a little bit less hassle. I didn't go over every aspect of this business. You know, I didn't really talk about payment processors, Stripe, PayPal, stuff like that are options. If you want to be able to keep track of your clients, you don't need a fancy CRM. Use a Google spreadsheet and keep track of it that way. And really, you don't even need a website to do this. It's not necessary. You can if you want to display stuff and have something more professional to show people, but you really don't need it. So my recommendation is just to get out and give it a try. Like, go start talking to businesses, talk to people that you know, talk to some prominent businesses in the area, see if you can get some interest from somebody who might be able to give you a little bit of help that way, because more people have heard of them. And of course, if you want my templates and my other trainings, there's a link below this video in the description where you can get access to all of that. And that's all I have for you. So I wish you all the best.